What is the single biggest mistake that voiceover talent make when it comes to working with pay-to-play sites? The answer could help land you a lot more voiceover work. It's coming up next. Stay close. Hi, Bill DeWeese here from voice-over-training.org, and it's my very special, or my pleasure to have as a very special guest, Jennifer Smith, who is Senior Account Manager at Voices.com. Jennifer, hi.
Hi, Bill. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk to you and to your YouTube
Well,
watchers.
thanks, and I'm excited to talk to you from the studios. If you look carefully, you see the microphone, you've got the acoustic foam going, so I'm sure a lot of really high-level important recording goes on right there where you're sitting.
Well, this is where it all happens whenever we have recording to do.
Now, Voices.com has really played, I know, a big part in revolutionizing the voiceover industry. It's really allowed, it's opened up a huge channel for voice seekers and voiceover talent to come together. Now, how long have you guys been doing what you've been doing?
So this year it'll be 10 years.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, this year will be 10 years.
Wow. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and for those of you that don't know, Voices.com was started by David and Stephanie Cicerelli. So now they're married, although they weren't when they first met. And, they kind of started developing ideas for the company on the back of a napkin, actually, in their
Wow.
dining room. So, it's great. When I started here 2.5 years ago, there were half as many people as there are now. We just had 4 new people start today. So it's pretty great. We're really growing quickly and having more and more work for people all the time.
And Jennifer, here's my personal testimonial in regards to Voices.com. I just had a commercial on the Super Bowl this past week
Oh,
that
great.
came from a client that I got through Voices.com probably
Nice.
5 or 6 years ago, has used me, and that I've made a lot of money over the years because it's a national radio TV campaign, and they re-up every year. And one of my later spots just aired during the Super Bowl, but and it wasn't national. It was more. It was here in Chicago, and it's Vein Clinics of America. They're not on the West Coast, so they're like from Texas up to Wisconsin, over to the Florida up to Connecticut, kind of the central
Yeah.
and eastern United States. But the point was that it came through Voices.com.
Yes.
And so, again, just a kind of a personal testimonial that there's some pretty great clients out there waiting for voices like yours.
No, that's exciting. Obviously the idea is to use Voices.com to find work, but really the long-term goal is to try and get some repeat business, try to get these clients to, build a relationship with you so that you can be the voice of their company and, continue working with them for years. So that's perfect. That's exactly what you want to happen.
Absolutely. And today Jennifer has agreed to talk to me. Well, first of all, let me promote the fact that Jennifer will be joining me at the Voiceover Revolution event in Las Vegas. And I don't know when you'll be watching this video, but if it's before February 15th and 16th of 2014, you might want to know that it's in Las Vegas at the Clarion. And Jennifer will be joining us via Skype on Sunday morning to talk about how to get the most out of your Voices.com and pay-to-play experience. Because a lot of people do get frustrated. They say, well, I've been auditioning and I haven't had a job yet. And so Jennifer, my big question for you is, what's the biggest mistake? What is the single biggest mistake that people make that could really change everything for them?
Yeah, so I honestly believe the biggest mistake people can make is not filling out their profile properly. When you come to Voices.com, you get to create a profile on our site, sort of like an online resume. It's, very easy to do. You pretty much are filling in some blanks. However, how you fill out that profile can really help you to strategize on how to have more visibility on the site. It's only as smart as a computer can be. Everything is very automated. So if you don't have the right keywords in your profile, then, you're not going to be able to be found for those jobs that you're really interested in.
Now, is the keywords aspect of the profile the biggest part of what people leave, not completed? Or, what are the things that stand out to you as the parts of the profile that people just, for whatever reason, tend to overlook and it really hurts them?
Yeah. So on voices.com, you'll find that the first part of the bio section of your profile, it's called highlights. That section is actually searchable on the site in terms of keyword searches. So anything you can add there that describes what your voice sounds like, the types of voiceover that you're interested in. Use some of those buzzwords that you see on job postings like explainer video, how-to video, sizzle reel, all of those different things that somebody could potentially be searching for when they're doing a search on the site. However, what's even more important and where you can kind of get even more specific is when you're adding demos to your profile. So voices.com has several different categories that you can add demos to, like business, internet, educational, radio, television, audiobooks, video games, and so on. And the idea for you long term would be to try to have a demo under every category that you're interested in. You know, I understand most people start off with one or two demos, but long term, at least have a short sample under every category that you're interested in so that you'll come up under those different searches, and also so that voices.com is better able to match you up to the job postings too. So you've probably noticed this, Bill, every time you look at a job posting, you'll see that voices.com gives it a voice match score. So
Right.
you'll either be 90, 95, or 100% matched to a job. And you want to make sure that your voice match score is appropriate and is accurate. So if you have a demo, for example, under radio, you're going to get the highest voice match score for radio jobs. And the reason why it's so important is because when a client reviews the auditions, they're actually listed for them by default in order of the voice match score instead of being in the order that they came in. So a lot of people get frustrated with the amount of competition that happens on voices.com. But if you understand how to fill out your profile properly and understand how our voice match score system works, it can make things a lot easier for you. So for example, if you see that 50, 60 people have already replied to a job because, you know, maybe it's been posted 12 hours ago, then you're going to know that it's still worth your time to audition if you have a high voice match score. The next time that client logs in to review their auditions, your audition's now at the top of their list. So there's a much better chance that that audition is going to be listened to, and that's really what you want to have happen. You want to make sure that you're not, that you're not auditioning for nothing.
So instead of thinking about it against you auditioning against everybody who's signed up with voices.com, that if your profile is filled out correctly, you automatically kind of position yourself in front of most others because you're more appropriately matched to the job.
Oh, exactly. I mean, if you
Well, that
don't,
relieves a lot of anxiety and stress right there.
yeah, exactly. If you don't fill it out properly, nobody else is going to for you.
Yeah.
So you need to consider it. It might take you an hour or two to really figure out exactly the best way you want to position yourself, but in the long run it's going to be worth it. You don't want to spend a month or 2 months with an empty profile and you're auditioning endlessly and then find out afterwards that, oh, if I would have made these few changes, I wouldn't have been wasting my time.
Now, generally speaking, and not to get too far off topic, but you mentioned the demos. Generally speaking, the more demos, the better, or do you need to be very careful about what demos that you put up based on, you know what I mean? You know what I mean in terms of, let's say, well, okay, I can put an audiobook, I can put a narration, I can put an animation. I mean, should I just try to throw together as many demos as I can?
Well, ideally, like long term, you would definitely want to have a variety of demos and have shorter, more specific demos.
Okay.
So think about the fact that people have short attention spans. So they're going through our directory. Maybe they're looking for somebody to do a telephony spot for them. And they need to listen to your narration demo. And if they need to listen to, you do an educational tutorial, a corporate read, all of these other spots before they get to your telephony spot, they might not listen long enough to get to that because there are so many demos that they can just move on to that maybe if they listen for 30 seconds and don't hear what they're looking for, they might just move on and go to somebody else. So if you can give them what they're looking for right away, you're going to have better chance at kind of hooking them and grabbing their attention. And you're also going to come up more often. So if you only have one demo that has, every different type of narration on it, you're only going to be able to put that demo under one category. So then all of a sudden you put that under maybe business. Now you're not coming up under internet, educational, telephony, audiobooks, and all of that's very important.
Okay, that's good marketing advice, by the way. The idea that thinking from the perspective of the customer, the client, and you're right. People do have their attention spans are getting shorter. It's seemingly shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, what about you mentioned tags a while ago? Speak to the importance of tags and maybe how to best use those in a strategic way.
For sure. So on voices.com, every time you add a demo, what you're going to do is you're actually going to add up to 10 different tag words for each demo. Now, what you would want to do is make sure that the tag words are appropriate for each demo, but you also, to be a little more strategic, would also want to try not to overlap them too much. And the reason for this, and actually what I should explain first is what a tag word is. So what it is it's a descriptive word that describes your voice. It could be friendly, authoritative, believable, any of those types of descriptive words, and you're going to have a long list of them to choose from. So there's lots to choose from. But the reason that that's so important is because clients can search by those tag words. It also helps with our voice match score too. Every time you see a job posted on voices.com, the client also has the option to put tag words in their job posting. So they can say, I would like this person to sound friendly and believable. And if the tag words in their job posting match up to the ones that you've added on your demo, then, that's when you get a higher voice match score for that particular job and are matched that much better to that job. So the importance of having a variety of tag words and having each demo tagged properly is really important for both the search engine results and for us to match your profile up to the job postings correctly.
So the moral of the story is pay attention to your profile because there's a lot more going on than maybe even realize in terms of what enables your profile to make its way in front of the eyes of the appropriate or prospective client that you have. But I'm curious, how many people, do you have just a general percentage of people who just really don't complete their profile or do it correctly?
I might be a little bit biased because, when people call in, it's generally when they need help, right?
Right.
So I can tell you that I talk to people every day that will, sign up for our service, and a month into it, they're slightly frustrated, and I give them this advice, and it makes such a big difference. They'll email me later saying that they got their first job, and someone was able to find them because of this. The voice match scores went up. They started seeing more and more of their auditions being listened to. It's just all about, having a strategy. Obviously, auditioning can be a bit of a numbers game, and it's all about trying to get in front of the right person at the right time. And when you're doing this and you've maybe only got an hour or two to audition every day, you want to make sure that you make the most of that time.
Right. Right, absolutely. Well, Jennifer, that's very sound advice because it can feel overwhelming at times, and you think, "Oh my goodness, how many auditions do these clients listen to, and how many people am I competing against?" But your advice and counsel will enable those who are utilizing voices.com, and really, I would say any similar type of service to be able to position yourself correctly to begin with, so that instead of competing against the masses, you're positioning yourself to compete within a more narrow niche, an appropriate niche, at least for your particular skill set. And again, Jennifer Smith will be speaking to us via Skype in Las Vegas at the VoiceOver Revolution event. Really looking forward to that because at that point you'll have more time to elaborate on all the different strategies and ways to get the most out of this kind of experience. And when it comes to voiceovers, you obviously need as many marketing channels going as you can possibly use, and make sure that each one is working for you. And I think working with like a voices.com can be a really important aspect of your business plan and your marketing strategy. So I'm very excited that you'll be able to share with us this weekend.
I'm very excited to be able to talk to everybody too. This is what I do here at voices.com, and I love it. It's great. It's awesome being able to help people find voiceover work.
Yeah, Jennifer, thank you again. I sure appreciate it.
Thanks for your time, Bill.